So this is the agenda for today. First of all, as I said, we have several speakers today that will talk about the topic. If you have any comments or any questions, you can anytime write in the chat, and we will make sure that we discuss them in the two Q&A sessions we have also in our agenda today and in our plan today. And we will also try to reply to any written comments also in the chat as well. So we'll start with a very brief introduction about the EOSC Academy. Then we'll show you how the online course looks like on the Academy website. And then we will continue with the actual content of our online session today, which is the minimum requirements for the project charter. For the ones that have participated also in previous sessions, this is a slide you must already know, almost by heart. So it is indeed about the Academy, and that's as part of the Academy activities what we are organizing today. And the Academy is the place where we want to collect knowledge, create new knowledge, and support the EOSC Federation, to support the EOSC nodes and the current and prospective EOSC nodes. Here you can see the link to the Academy where you can access the material. The material is not all available at once, but it will be progressively enriched, and this is our aim for the coming months. Here you can see the courses that are already available, and with the green boxes here, you can see also the courses for which we have already organized online sessions for the explaining the EOSC Federation, for how to apply the EOSC Federation handbook, and the third one is the minimum requirements for a project charter. We consider these courses really as the foundation for creating a common ground of knowledge for everything else that we would like also to analyze and provide through the Academy. This is the website of the course on our Academy website. As I said, through the link you can access it. The information is there for several of the modules, but not for all of them. And this is one of the courses where we create new content, and that's why the course will be almost continuously updated in the next 1.5 months or so. So, and with this, I would like to hand over now to Ellie and Carlo, who will guide us through the first part of this session. And then we will have some presentations and some insights from Josephine and Lucas. And we will also have the possibility for a small roundtable discussion and questions from your side. So I will stop now sharing, and Ellie, you continue with sharing your screen, correct?
Yes. Thank you very much, Eleni. Let me share my screen. It's here. And now in full mode, right? Can you see it in full mode?
Okay. Yes, now we can.
Awesome. Well, welcome also from my side, everyone. We're going to focus on the project charter today. I'm Ellie Podopoulou, working for Athena Research Center, along with my colleague Eleni Toli, who you heard before, and my colleague Maria Kondopidi, who will be supporting us via the chat. So she's available in the chat. This is the agenda, but I think Eleni covered it very well. So I'm going to move now to sharing a bit of the logic of the course and how it's structured and what to expect from it, right? And what you have to know about it. So this charter is designed for everyone that is involved in writing the charter. Okay, so either you are the node coordinator, you are the technical partner from an institution that is part of the node, or you are a legal person or a community partner for the engagement activities. And if you are contributed to the charter, writing the charter, then this is for you. And what we've seen is that everyone brings their expertise, their services, their partnerships, and you are all competent, let's say, in what you do. But the real challenge is how to bring this into the structure that is needed for the charter and for the EOSC Federation. And at the end, to have a compelling charter, right? That is really based on reality, real objectives and implementable actions. The course is scheduled across 8 modules. Each one has their specific topic and thematic area based on the section that the charter follows, and they all are built according to the same approach. So read, what does it say here? Read, see, and apply. So you read, you go to the website to read the contents that we have there, the training materials, worksheets, whatever is available there, to get familiar with concepts and get more knowledgeable on, get some tips also on specific parts where can make your charter more competent. And also you see we present real examples of how other nodes from the first wave node have approached it, how they have applied some use cases, for example, and then you can apply everything to your own worksheets. So you will have at the end, every module comes with a worksheet, and at the end, we are going to, if you work on this worksheet, you are going to have a basis, let's say, for your draft charter. This is a hybrid approach that we are taking. So we have online sessions to interact with you, to be able to talk to you and give you support in questions that you might have. So this is the first one. And at the end, this is the first one to introduce this subject. And then at the end, on 1st September, we're going to hold an Ask Me Anything online session. So we believe that you will have more questions by then, because you will have gone through all the modules. And before your submission, the deadline is 6 September, by the way, the submission of your charter. You have the opportunity, last opportunity, to come to the live session and ask any questions and clarifications that you might have towards us. The modules are progressively available. So at the moment, you will see the module 1 is up on the website. And this month, we are going to upload module 2, 3, and 4, and next month, 5, 6, and 7. So we will progressively be releasing it and also emailing you when this become available. The worksheets are already covered. Please save this date and time, add it in your calendars, register 1 September, 11 Central European Time. We will be here again, this time with you maybe bringing us your own draft worksheet for the charter, having more concrete, more detailed questions to ask. We're happy to do that after the vacations. Thank you very much. Now I'm handing it over to Carlo.
Great, thanks. Let's see if I manage to share the screen properly. Manage. No. Do you see the screen in full mode? Presentation?
Yes, we do.
Okay, perfect. Okay, great. So thanks, Ellie and Eleni, for the introduction. So I'm Carlo Cagnina, and today I'm going to guide you through the project charter, which is the main document that an applicant needs to submit to enroll its own node through the EOSC Federation. What is a project charter? A project charter is a typical document that is independent of the specificity of the federation. Basically, in a project management setup, is a document that you are doing at the beginning of your project to say, okay, this is the type of resources allocated, those are to align the stakeholders, and those are the typical things that we need to position ourselves and to basically commit ourselves. In the case of the federation, this charter is structured in a way that it allows to address specific criteria that makes your proposal successful, and also it makes possible for the evaluators to appraise the feasibility of activities that you are proposing, the relevance of those activities, and how much ready is technically your node, and both governance-wise and technical-wise. As you see on the left-hand side, we have a schema that shows the main blocks of the charter. Those blocks start with identify you as a node and what is added value you are going to give to the federation. And then this is followed by sections where you have to identify how and what you want to offer, as well as when you want to offer. During this planning of the different resources that you are going to offer, you will need to identify what are the risks, dependencies that impede or modify your plan in the resource offered. And then finally, what is the accountability? So in terms of personnel and when you're going to offer your node capabilities. Now, let's go inside the details. This project charter is made of sections, with the first section, which named project summary, as you can expect, is a section that is made actually at the end, even though it's the first one, because it's the advertisement of your work. What is this? Basically, here you need to put all together what you have in your project charter about the identity of your node, what is the purpose of your node, what are different activities, and the resources that you want to deliver, not just data sets or services. You are also speaking about contribution in terms of training and coordination and collaboration with the federation. So it's important this project summary because it catches the attention of the evaluators. And in this section, as well as in other section, you see that there is blue text here reporting on the right-hand side of the slide, which is basically guiding you to complete each section with the type of content that we expect. And with the maximum amount of words, that in this case is 300, you will see changes over the different sections. Now, the first real section that you have to start to fill in is where you position your application, in this case your node, and how you differentiate it compared to what is already available in the federation and compared to the other applications. So here you need to identify the gaps in the federation. Those gaps can be geographically. Maybe your node represents a country that is not already in the federation. Maybe thematically, you are presenting a discipline that is not there yet, or even technically, there is a gap technically. Maybe you're offering specific set of data sets that are unique, and you want to show this added value of your node. Then, very important is that you have to identify which communities you are serving. So you are offering something, you want somebody to use it. So you have to represent the gateway of your community. And if we look outside the box of EOSC, it's very important that you identify what is your proposal, how your proposal is connected with the other European data spaces. As we know, the Commission values a lot that the different data spaces are aligned in their progress. So this basically is the value proposition that, as an important tip to highlight your candidate, is that you have to show the complementarity and not overlap as much as possible with what is already there available. Otherwise, it's just one node more. The next section, okay, we position ourselves. Okay, now what we want to say is what we want to provide in terms of data repositories and services. Those two together, we generically name this as resources. So here in this section, you will have a table that guides you to identify which resources you are going to offer to enrich the federation, describe the resources, what are the access policies. So sometimes some resources are available only at in your institution or only at in your country. It's important to know it. And as well as it's important to know why those resources are there. So what is the added value for the users? And to be accepted for the to pass the evaluation criteria, those resources must have a technical readiness level of at least 7, so must be pretty mature to enter as a federated resources. The next section, after you have identified which are the repositories and services, you will have to clarify what are the different use cases you want to propose and deploy. This is a very important section because, as you see, has a maximum of 3 pages. So what that means compared to the previous sections, and you will see for the next sections, is the place where you can have most of the space to write content. So that demonstrates how much important is the use case to showcase basically your node and the federation in general in the eyes of the evaluators. Is an important criteria to pass the evaluation stage to have identified at least one scientific multi-node use case or a use case that contributes to federating capability. So the capability that makes the glue across the nodes. And with those use cases, basically, you will have a table that will help you to list those. So to describe the use case and to show which community those use cases are serving, how they are enhancing the portfolio of the federation, as well as which other nodes are involved. So it might be that those use cases are involving more partners or more nodes. And so we need to know which partners or nodes are involved, because then it will help to identify commonalities in the federation. For each of the use cases, you will need to identify a timeline for when you intend to deploy it. In this section, it's not reported here, but you will see more clearly in the project charter itself document. You see there is also the opportunity to describe what is not in scope or in scope of those use cases. This helps a lot to manage expectations. You might have a use case that is basically limited for specific languages. So it's good to know, or maybe there is no user support for this use case. And this is good to identify to manage the expectations, both for the evaluators and then later in the federation. Finally, the next section is section 5, is about compliance. And we are speaking about compliance in terms of how you intend to integrate with the mandatory capabilities. At the moment, there are only 2 mandatory capabilities, and we are speaking about WAI and the catalog, for which in the application, in the project charter, you have the links for the specifications that make you understand what is requested to be fully integrated with those capabilities. But also here is requested to identify how your node will be compliant with the core capabilities that are identified in the handbook of the federation. We are not speaking only about the technical parts. I know it's written technical in the section, but if you read carefully the blue text, we also ask for understanding how your node is structured, is organized, is structured in governance terms. This is important because all project charter, but in particular this section, allows the evaluators to understand how much ready is your node, both technically and organizationally. It is important because once you pass the evaluation stage, there will be a sequencing in time, and understanding how ready you are will help the sequencing stages of your node. Another tip that can be useful to mention is that do not overclaim. If your WAI is not available institutional-wise, it's very difficult to be available already in month 3. So typically, the lessons learned from the previous notes is that it takes at least 1 year to make full integration with the WAI. Okay, and then we can move to that section, which is basically what any project charter should have. So basically identify how you will manage your project. And in this case, be aware of which are the risks and dependencies that can block or bend your initial plan. So for this, you will have a table that makes easier for you to list different risks and dependencies and identify which are the mitigation measures and when you expect those dependencies to happen. Why it is important? Because again, if there is a dependency with a node that might arrive later, or is with dependency with the service that is offered by another node in a specific timeline, this will help again to sequence your applications in the right time of the federation development. Consider here there are some examples of dependencies that can be that you rely on third-party services, or you don't have enough policy framework at this stage, or your institution is not supporting. So all those things are not denigrating your application, but are useful because they show that you are aware of the challenges ahead. Okay, so we identified the risks, we identified the use cases. Now we have to identify what we are going to provide in terms of deliverable. As any project, you will have some deliverables to achieve, to provide. So those represent the outputs. And for this, again, we ask for a deadline for when you when you promise such a deliverable. And as a general criteria to guide you through the deliverables, you might rely on the SMART criteria. So the output you are going to provide must be specific, so not ambiguous in definition, so it's clear what you are going to targeting. The output must be measurable, so it's easy to verify it. And also to achieve, so must be realistic within the timeline of your project, as well as aligned with your goals, so relevant, and finally, with a specific timeline. If we are very likely, you will produce software, API. So for those, a relevant deliverable is a software documentation, because it helps both the users to really use what you're going to produce, and also the practitioners in the federation, the most technical parts, to really integrate or hand over the capabilities you are going to offer. So this is also what is among the deliverables, the documentation of your software. Okay, so community engagement. Do not underrate the importance that the tripartite governance of the federation puts on the community engagement. So your node is expected to represent the gateway to your community. So you represent already the community, and you need to fulfill this role and enable your community to be engaged in the federation, participate in the federation, because in the end of the story, we are producing a federation, we are running a federation, and somebody has to use it. And you, as a node, are the first ones to put in place some of the users. With the users, we are not speaking, with the community, we are not speaking just about the users, but we're also speaking about the ones who, the third parties that onboard services in your node. Some of the previous nodes did not consider this fully, and it were coming without a full onboarding policies. This makes them less prompt ready for the enrollment. So you might need to consider for your candidacy that you also need to be internally in agreement about what are your onboarding policies for third-party services. Also, this section asks as mandatory also to identify which are the lessons learned from the previous notes. And for those, So a few examples we can mention here. For instance, some of the previous notes were not considering that there was that was needed more time to allocate to contribute to the federation governance. The work in the federation machine is not simple, so it needs sometimes many meetings, and you might again need to define internally what is the policies for the third-party services onboarding. Again, since we want to see how ready is your node, as a tip, do not report a completely new intensive mechanism for engagement. You might better rely on what is already existing. Okay, so we have identified everything. So as typically in any project, you will need to identify a roadmap. In this section, section 9, you will have to identify what is the main steps that what are the main steps that your project needs to go through to then achieve the end of the project. So for instance, the kickoff for your project is a clearly milestone, or the fact that you have given 3 training sessions is also another milestone in your project. So those needs to be identified. As a general tip, consider always a buffer time, because there are always contingencies that we do not foresee since the beginning. So it's very useful to allocate some buffer time and also be aligned with the timelines that we have seen in the previous sections. We have seen a timeline for section 4 about the use cases. We also seen a timeline for section 7 about the deliverables. So here be careful that it's aligned with the timelines you have already promised before. As a lessons learned from the previous notes, we see that those roadmaps in this section can take up to 2 years to really say, okay, our node is ready operationally. So consider this time frame when you are completing this section. Okay, so this is the last section of the project charter, and is about basically accountability. What that means is that as a mandatory requirements to pass the evaluation criteria, you need to identify specific people who will cover specific roles. Those roles are being the node coordinator, so the point of contact of your nodes, being the operation officer, so the point of contact for anything that is more technical and the day-to-day operations, cybersecurity officer, we understand this about security, compliance, and similar. Legal officer will be very useful for when there will be the negotiations for the memorandum understanding in the federation, and also for privacy like a GDPR. And finally, the communication officer, because we value a lot also the outreach to the communities. Those people you can have the same person that covers more than one role. It's not necessary that they have 5 different people. And also consider that typically, so always they don't cover 100% of their time because of the role they are representing, but that the node coordinator, being the point of reference of your node, will typically take more time compared to the other roles. For how long should the resources be committed? Well, for the second wave nodes enrollment call, we will say 24 months. So in 2 years, for 2 years, you should have those people committed. For the third wave role, it might be different. And finally, let me wrap up on this, just to take home messages. So what we said is that project charter is the main document that you need to submit for your application to enroll as a node in the EOSC Federation. The project charter is structured in a way that already contains most of the criteria. They make your proposal successful and allows the evaluators to understand how feasible are the activities you are proposing, how relevant they are, and how much ready you are technically and in terms of governance. Finally, it's very likely that the project charter will change the details for a third wave enrollment, but in any case, to make successful your candidacy, you will need to identify clearly what is the purpose and the added value of your nodes, how it complements and doesn't overlap with what is already in the federation, and how much you are ready in organizationally, also technically, so operationally, but also how much ready is you're not represent the gateway of your community. And with this, I think that's it. And we are ready with the Q&A.
Thank you, Carlo. There are some questions in the chat, so I will start by, or maybe you want to unmute. Let's start with Bern from EOSC Austria. Do we need to stick to the layout of the table section 3, or can we also switch columns and rows for better readability? That's the question.
Who is asked that one? Sorry.
EOSC Austria.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, tell me.
So yes,
Okay.
so my question was in section 3 there is a table, and if we can switch the columns with the rows so it's better readable, or is this template strict as it is?
Okay, let's remember that this template is based on the second wave enrollment code that is already passed. For the new enrollment code, the template details might change, so it's very likely that also those type of things will improve. The template itself is strict, so don't try to invent more things, but we take on board also any input you are giving us, like this one.
So the answer is yes?
Yes, it's strict, but it will very likely not be the same template.
Okay, but they should use, if it's the second wave, they should use this. Okay.
Yeah, but the second wave enrollment call is already done. It's not okay.
Okay, then we have Francisco. Do the services and functionalities that support the use cases need to be federated, have a plan to be federated, or is it sufficient for them to reside within the node and be discoverable within the EOSC federation?
Okay, so you as a node, you identify which part of the services you want to make available in the federation. That's why they are named federated services. So some of the services you might consider that are not something that is of concern of the federation, or you don't want to basically to publish in the federation. You keep it separated from this EOSC federation environment. So the services you are going to provide are for the federation and should be discoverable federation to be really fair, to adhere to the fair principle. So you need to be findable.
Yeah, may I, because if you don't mind, this is Francisco from the Diversity Foundation that I asked this question. So, but you have in the Federation handbook, you have the AI and the resource catalog as mandatory, but help desk, service monitoring, service management system will be mandatory in 2026, and the service accounting, research products, order management, and so on is recommended. So for this project started that we need to write, do we need to attach to the mandatory things, or do you recommend us to use the, to align with the mandatory in 2026? Or yeah, these kind of questions that we have now.
Let me see if I interpret correctly. So you are referring to the new mandatory capabilities, which are help desk, service monitoring, and the SMS. For those ones, they should and should become mandatory for the third wave enrollment call. So also for those, which as you see in the current project charter, they are not mandatory. Also for those will be requested compliance. Is not sure yet the exact details whether they will be really mandatory in the third wave enrollment call, but we are trying all our efforts to make them to make the specification to really say, okay, I can be onboarding with this.
Okay, thank you very much, Carlo. Yeah.
Did we already answer the previous question? Because I understand that we talked about the... Or was it the same question? Okay. It was the same question. Roberto asks, for some of the roles in contacts, the requirements are not clear yet. For example, cybersecurity as the working group has not yet really started. So it is hard to quantify the amount of work needed and the expectations of the roles. When are we going to have the new working groups and task forces, Carla?
Okay, so cybersecurity is one example. There are different working group on it. At the moment, cybersecurity has already started since months. Is just taking a bit of time to ramp up, but identify exactly how much time would be needed to allocate to a cybersecurity officer is not clear yet. You're right. And by the time of the third wave enrollment call, we should have this information available. So the cybersecurity working group is already there. It just you are not seeing exactly all the development. I wanted maybe to clarify a point about the wave enrollment. So the project charter is likely to change in the next third wave enrollment, but since here there are also cascading grants, you will receive the project charter based on the second wave enrollment. This one is the template you have to follow. So that might be different for when you will enroll as a node, but for the project cascading is the second wave project charter you need to follow.
And I think that's more or less what's implied in Helen's question. Could you please clarify whether the evaluation criteria mentioned are for actual node applications? Will they also be applied to the preparatory grants charters, which may be further away from an actual application? i.e., is there an approval process for preparatory grant project charters?
The reason I ask is just that there's quite a lot of detail required, obviously, and we're obviously going to do our best in the next few months, but we may not be able to provide the level of detail that you're necessarily wanting if it was a real node application, but obviously it would be a different version that would come in at a later date. So I'm just wondering, because you mentioned a lot about evaluation criteria in your talk, but will those criteria be used on the preparatory grants, or is it just we just have to submit? That's our task, is to submit it. It won't be evaluated necessarily to the same criteria.
Okay, it's a good point. You're right. I tend to have the training more considering the third wave application, but yes, for the cascading grants, they are named preparatory projects because indeed we are trying to support the preparation, the new nodes. So it's expected that you will not have all the information that is requested, but it's expected also that you have been worked hard to structure your node to really make it as ready as possible. So the evaluation criteria are much more strict for the real enrollment as a candidate, much less for the preparatory grants, because we understand that it's a different condition.
Yeah, thank you.
But all should be thorough in what they write.
Oh, we will be, I promise.
Okay. Right. So moving to the next, Andrei asks, when preparing a project charter for a pilot of a thematic EOSC node with national scope, that's a good question. Should we already define its intended position within the EOSC Federation, including direct cooperation with pan-European thematic nodes, infrastructure nodes, and a future national EOSC node? Or should the charter focus only on the pilot scope, governance services, and use cases, leaving internode relationships and resource onboarding criteria to a later operational phase? I think it's part of the use cases, right, Carlo?
Okay, I need to digest a bit of the question. If Andrei can take the floor to clarify it a bit. Andrei? Disappeared, Andrei. Okay.
No, but I think this is a good like I think it has to do with dependencies. So if a project charter for a pilot of a specific category, national, thematic, or international, has dependencies maybe or wants to collaborate with existing nodes or infrastructures or potential nodes, how should they treat it in the charter?
So, okay, in the charter, I might have said it quickly, but you see that there is a part where is asked about which nodes or organizations are involved in the use case. And so that will be there the moment where you can really identify with which nodes you are going to work. Now, based on the second wave call, I don't know yet, nobody knows what is the third wave call, how it looks like in the guidelines, but in the second wave guidelines call, basically was asked that if you collaborate with a node, you need to also attach, separated by the charter, an email, a document that clarifies that you have been involved, you have been speaking with the node, and the other node is in agreement with both what you are going to claim in the charter and also with the timeline. So it's allowed and it's expected that you are working together with other nodes.
Is this answer okay to Andre? I see they don't have a microphone, so I'm not sure. I'm mindful of the time though, so I will keep let's do one or two more and then we can move on to the next part of the session. Okay, it's okay for Andre. Let's what level of detail to what level of specificity do we expect for the federating capabilities?
Okay, so if I interpret this question, is basically you are asking about the section where the technical compliance section, where you have to identify how much, how you will comply with the core capabilities. The core capabilities are the ones identified in the table of the Federation Handbook. And at the moment, there are only 2 mandatory. There will be likely 5 in the future, but also the others needs to be identified. So in the project charter of the first and second wave nodes has been every time identified how your node has the infrastructure that complies with the specifications reported and whether it has it or not. Again, it's important first to be compliant with the mandatory capability. For the other ones, it's not mandatory, but it's relevant because we understand how much ready is your node to be integrated sequencing in time in the federation. Why it is important, the sequencing? Because there are many dependencies across nodes and institutions. That is very helpful for the roadmap of the federation, why it evolves.
But Carlo, so what level of detail are we looking at?
So be mindful of the number of words. So you can see there is not really pages of detail. So you need to identify which infrastructure you have there or not. For the mandatory capability, you have to specify how you comply based on the document that is there. So there are 2 documents for the mandatory capability that specify the specifications. And for the non-mandatory capabilities, you have not a document. So for that, we just need to understand what do you have. So help desk. Do you have a help desk? What technology do you have in case you have? You have Zenmart as a technology. This type of things.
Okay, let's move on. Is it the case then that whatever we produce by September 6th, which is the deadline to upload the charter, cannot be used for wave 3? It will need to be updated, and Isabel already said that the template is already available for the Gravity projects, and it's based on the second wave. So might be different for the third wave applicants.
Yes, might be different, but it will be details different. So you're not wasting your time introducing this. So it's really useful for making your node ready. Indeed, it's a preparatory project. And the details, we acknowledge that very likely some details will change.
Tab list of services in the template does not allow for a great amount of details. Is there a space possibility to describe in more details what will be offered through each service and how? For example, as an annex?
No, because you might notice that each section has a specific amount of words pages to be provided. This helps both for you to show the real added value highlighted, but also for the evaluators to make it possible to screen the different candidacy and see what are the connections across without losing into the details that are important, understand from your perspective, but is a project charter, it's not the documentation that defines the architecture of your node. It's a high-level first document of your project.
So they need to make sure to include this context, let's say, and details that they find that very important in previous questions that are free text, right?
You need to be sure that the content respects the amount of words that are requested. Yes. So be mindful about what added value you want to highlight.
Okay. Then for the deliverables, are there fixed deliverable types we should use for charter, like we have in the Horizon projects, report, demo, other, software, I think is another one, or these are free for us to define? I guess all deliverables will be public, right? Isabel already said that there are templates for the required deliverables through the ESF platform, but I'm not sure that these are the same, right?
So I think the question first asks, we have a single use case. So you don't need to include more than one use case. At the moment, for sure, for the preparatory grants, you don't need to. The third wave, I guess also not, but this nobody knows. Anyway, you need to propose at least one use case.
No, this is not the, no. This is Sylvia's. It's a different question.
Sorry.
It's a different question. It's already answered by Isabel, but I think it's partly answered, right? So ESF platform provides the templates to use for the deliverables, but does it also provide the deliverable types? Like, is it report, software, I don't know, something else like Horizon Europe has? You know, they have like 3-4 types of deliverables.
So for the preparatory, let's see if I interpret that. The preparatory grants will have to produce one, apart from the project charter, also the documentation for the use cases. Yeah. So the use cases, you will see a template about it soon. And you will see that there are details that are not belonging to the charter. The use case can be the same, but there are details that they make the reasoning for why we need a separate use case template for it. Software, remember that for preparatory projects, you don't need to deploy. So it's not expected that you document how to use the use case because it's still not there.
So if I understand correctly, you see the deliverable as a use case. So it's like, it is part of the use case, right?
I think there is some misunderstanding, if I may. So the Gravity projects need to deliver several types of deliverables, namely the project charter, the academy matrix, the use cases, and so on. For all these, we have templates that are already available in, most of them are available, not all, but are available already through the ESF platform. And you can go there and see the templates and use. And most of you have already used the project plan that was delivered. So that is the main question related to the types of deliverables. I'm not sure, I need to check, but I think all these deliverables from the grantees that are included in the gravity cascading grants are not public. Correct, Carlo?
Yeah, correct.
Yeah. So the question had two dimensions: one, the templates, and another one, the type. And I think it's clear now that the templates are available for all the grantees, and related to the type of deliverable, they are not public. Okay.
But this is the access of the deliverable, I think. Sylvia says that maybe Sylvia can actually, maybe Sylvia, you want to unmute?
Thanks. Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, well, just a question about the section 7. So you showed that table, Carlo, where we need to create the list of deliverables. So I was just thinking whether those types are fixed or not. It seems not, right? For the charter. I mean, so I understand what you're saying for the deliverables of the cascading projects, but I was thinking about the charter table.
Okay.
Section 7, that one.
I see the confusion. So
Yeah.
the charter identifies, consider the charter when you will have to fill in the charter is about if you have a candidate for the next call. So don't look at the 6 months project life cycle of your cascading. This you might have not seen already the template for the charter, but it's clarified there for the timelines. Do not consider there is the timeline of the 6 months of your project. So there you can see the deliverables in the section 7 of the charter are not the deliverables of the project cascading, but a deliverable you envisage as you were applying for the third wave. Okay.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, that was that. Okay.
But so do I understand right? So we are free to define types, right? I think.
The type of use cases.
No, of deliverables. Maybe it's just technicality, but because like in Horizon projects, you have these types, like you have demos, reports.
Yes, you are free.
Thanks. Thank you.
And very quickly to the last question. In EOS Gravity, we have a single use case. Should we include other use cases we see as relevant in the charter?
So the charter asks for at least one use case. You can include more. Be careful that those need to be so they need to be achievable, and because you will put a timeline, you will put this use case in collaboration with other nodes, so you have to coordinate with other nodes, and you need to identify based on your technology at the moment or very near in the future what you can really achieve. Be careful not promising use cases that really are not achievable.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Eleni, I think the floor now is yours to quickly share the last part of your presentation before we move.
Yes, give me just 1 second to share my screen. Okay, this is, thank you very much. And actually what we plan to do is to keep these questions and collect these questions and possibly also create a Q&A that you can access also through the Academy website. In any case, if questions still exist, feel free to reach out to us, and contact us to further discuss any concrete question that has not been answered today. So, and with this, I would like to invite Josephine to tell us her experience from the EOSC node in Finland.
Hey, thank you very much, Eleni, and happy to be here to provide some lessons learned and experiences of ours. So my name is Josephine Nordling, working at the CSC IT Center for Science. I've been working with EOSC Node Finland since February this year, but working with different EOSC initiatives many years before that. So I'm here to tell firstly about what the EOSC Node Finland is. So it's obviously a national node contributing to the EOSC Federation. And as I said, or maybe became evident, it's coordinated by CSC, IT Center for Science. The node is developed in coordination with the Finnish Ministry of Education and Culture. Also, the National Open Science Coordination has a big role in this, and other national stakeholders that are engaged within the EOSC Finnish forum that we have set up for various EOSC initiatives, but also the interim governance mechanism that we have set up at CSC. So our node is primarily designed to serve the Finnish research community with researchers as our core end users. The EOSC Node Finland is based on the RDA developed Global Open Research Commons, also known as the GORC model, but also based on national reference architectures, which means, and especially if you're familiar with the GORC, we put in center questions such as governance, quality, user centricity, but also a broad engagement among research performing organization is really of utmost importance for this node. You can maybe say that we have, so here on the slide, 4 core objectives. I came to think of a 5th one as well. So those being to aggregate and connect Finnish and European research data services via a unified entry point, and to provide easy access to Finnish research data and services. A further objective is to ensure user-friendly access through federated authentication, such as single sign-on AAI integration, federated service catalog, help desk for users, monitoring and usage reporting. Another core objective is to promote the fair data practices, and especially born fair or fair by design, as you can also call them, and approaches to increase research impact generally. Further, of course, important to enable cross-border collaboration via interoperable services through identity management and shared workflows. And this all will make it easier to access resources, and through that also creating further impact, but also to participate in the development of federating capabilities for the EOSC Federation. So apart from AI, we can also contribute with resource allocation and providing the basic CSC resource allocation concept model towards the EOSC Federation. And then lastly, a core objective is to support advanced computing and data intensive research, particularly through integration with supercomputing environments such as the LUMI and the EuroHPC environments. So maybe thinking about it strategically, the node is here to act as a bridge between national research infrastructures and EOSC, but also to demonstrate the basic core values of national level coordination within federated European ecosystem, and obviously to provide the core federating capabilities as well. And And maybe a further perception is that the EOSC Node Finland puts great emphasis on the user interface and the user experience. So that is something we're really passionate about. So yeah, to sum it up, maybe the node is not just a sort of a service platform. It's more so seen as a coordination and interoperability layer, which connects national and European ecosystem and really making research more international.
Thank you very much, Josephine. And I think it's very important what you just said. And I think this is also due to your long experience within the research community in Finland, but also with neighboring countries and the great experience you have also with this. Thank you. So, and then let's move to Poland with Lucas.
Hello, everyone. Mic check. Is it all good?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes,
Thank
yes.
you. So I'm Lucas, representing EOS Node Poland. I come from the CipherNet Supercomputing Center, which is one of the partners. So I thought I would build my narration around our timeline. Many of you are probably somewhere in the beginning or somewhere in the first half and looking forward to what's next. So I thought it may be interesting. So our ties with EOSC go back way back around 10 years ago, where we took part in the first EOSC projects. Of course, EOSC was shaped much differently back then, but let's say we have observed its evolution. And of course, many of the targets were very similar as they are today, but there was no such community and governance and this multi-layer management that is built now. So working on EOSC, we started building our informal EOSC PL network, as we call it. So we started creating ties with different Polish institutions, informal because that was not in any way formalized, but we have signaled the will to collaborate in EOSC calls in different EOSC-related initiatives, and this way we have been accumulating, let's say, this network of scientific institutions that want to chip in, want to be a part of it, want to offer resources or use the resources. And around 2024, we applied for inclusion in the first wave. Soon after the EOSC Federation kickoff, we had our first project charter draft, and we formed a consortium with 5 major Polish scientific institutions, with a National Science Center leading as the mandated organization. Our main idea was that in Poland, we already had a lot of resources, know-how, practical skills, infrastructure, and we want to bring this all together and form an EOSC node. So just take what we already have and say this is a lot more than we need, and then try to bring it into something, let's say, something that brings it together. So this, of course, started a slow and laborious but steady process of finding the common grounds between different organizations, their policies, the way they prefer to do things, the people in them, and so on. So, of course, this is a process, but we took baby steps, moved forward, and our main goals were integration, so bringing resources into the EOSC Federation, standards, so always looking at FAIR principles and common, well-established protocols and standards across our integrated services. Easy access, so building this under possibly single umbrella of an AI and integrating more and more services and resource providers underneath it. Interoperability and well, impact. So that's all done for researchers and hopefully for our Polish science to to be boosted this way. Of course, finalizing the project charter took several months, but it was very insightful and fortunately forced us to work close with each other, which was very beneficial for everyone and valuable. So the first non-formal, let's say, but very satisfying results happened around October 25 when we launched the EOSC portal and enabled federated EOSC AI for the users to log in. Around this time, we also deployed our, let's say, distinguishing feature, a unified data layer based on our open source technology called One Data. It lets researchers connect external data sources to their data workspaces that are shared across organizations. So we provide this data workspace, not only a catalog of resources, but also a workspace to work on them and bring them the data close to compute for analysis. And this way, we achieved our first comprehensive workflow that we presented during the last year's symposium, and which is based on a scientific use case. We showed how a scientist can integrate data, annotate it, run a workflow by interfacing with an execution platform from another EOSC node. It was Galaxy in this case and Life Sciences node, gather the results, package them into a per digital object like arrow crate and publish them straight to the catalog to enable subsequent reuse, so close this open science lifecycle. Following the legal processes also took some time, but in January this year, we signed the EOSC MOU. So National Science Center signed it in our name, and we also signed our national collaboration agreement internally. And as of today, we are working hard on both formal and technical aspects of ESPL and heading into production. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Lucas. And actually, what you just said is a very good also introduction in starting discussing with you and about this journey for creating the node and drafting the project charter. And also you presented an ecosystem that is quite rich in Poland. And impressively also to see that you have also allocated roles to the some of the actors of this ecosystem. So the question to both of you, to Josephine and to Lucas, about the process for developing the charter. I don't know if this was the first time you collaborated with several of these organizations that participate in your node, and you collaborated with stakeholders across the whole research ecosystem in your country. So how did you approach this? And can you identify some of the major challenges that you faced for organizing this work? How did you organize this work? How did you navigate through this?
Okay, should I start?
Yes, please.
So for the case of EOSC Node Finland, we approached the charter as an iterative and collaborative co-creation process from the very beginning. We involved a quite broad range of stakeholders in this piece of work, including, for example, technical experts, policy and governance specialists, coordination staff, but also domain representatives. So this requires quite a broad set of different skill sets to take into consideration everything that the charter needs, all types of different knowledge and skill set. And this was really important to have a broad engagement because the node itself is built around interoperability, but also user centricity is at its core. And sort of also wanted to obviously have a quite broad collaboration across organizations from the very start. So I think we had a good experience here to reach out to different people, and I think it is really key to be able to do so and set up a good collaboration environment with other organizations on a national level. So we used the EOSC project charter template as the very backbone for the work, and we were able to develop the document through multiple rounds of drafting and review processes. We built early drafts quite quickly, so we noticed that even incomplete ones really help structure the discussion. And rather than just treating the charter as a reporting exercise, we could use it as a coordination tool to build a shared understanding nationally of our objectives, but also of the core values, the use cases, capabilities, risks, and deliverables. So really everything involved in a project charter. But as I said, it was really a way to align stakeholders and to form a basis for discussion with the EOSC, but also other nodes. So it has been really useful. And a key aspect of our approach was being strongly use case driven. The scientific and technical use cases really helped us identify the capabilities required from the node. And to demonstrate the value of the federation and align stakeholders around some concrete activities and goals. So we also ensured that the charter was very tightly aligned with the national reference architectures, but also I mentioned the national reference architectures and the global open research commons model already, but I cannot stress enough the how useful we found the GORC model to be to really get our head around how to coordinate and organize this on a national level.
Thank you, Josephine. Lucas?
Yeah. Very similarly as the Finnish node, we of course looked at it as a very iterative process and requiring people with different skills and viewpoints to align. So we started with really agreeing on the definitions, goals, and strategy of EOSC Node Poland. First as an EOSC node, but also looking at it as a national initiative. And the system and infrastructure that's beneath it. So, and then we map those, let's say, internal findings to the charter structure, right? So first we kind of build a thought map, what we believe it should be, and then map it to the charter's structure. And of course, it was very beneficial that many of us were part of the EOSC community in one way or another, because staying close to other people that are doing the same or to the association and basically to all the initiatives gives you much needed insight. So trying to understand and get your head around all of those, like staying on the side of EOSC, I think can be very overwhelming. So it's good to be a part of it, right? Before you understand how everything works. And then we focus on the practical aspects, so core scientific use cases. And so we thought, okay, let's start, let's not try to do everything at once. Let's analyze those scientific use cases that EOSC considers important, prioritize them in our strategy, of course, the ones that we have expertise in. And then we did analysis for the use cases. And of course, this was an iterative process and decided we had a resource analysis to plan the core infrastructure that could cater for those use cases and create a development plan for them. And this really shaped the first steps really well, just building around the use cases. So I'm not saying this is the optimal way, but it really helped us to be practical in the beginning to start. And when you have already started, it's easier to go on.
I understand that for both it was a learning process, and you didn't know everything from the beginning, but through also this exchange and collaboration, you found your way, and you indeed used the project charter as a tool in order to build your collaboration around this. So, what would you recommend for based on your experience? What is the advice you would give now to the people that need to draft the project charter?
So maybe I can start again.
Yes, please.
So yeah, so my main recommendation is maybe to start with the value proposition, and to adopt a somewhat more high-level approach starting out, while at the same time maybe emphasizing the wider context and avoiding getting stuck in too much detail in the beginning. This will start crystallizing later. So I think also to continue with sort of demonstrating the value through realistic use cases. I would also say it's a good way of starting out this whole journey, and to be clear about the benefits involved. So who is really sort of the designated community, the notice serving, and what problems are you trying to solve? Why federation adds value, all these kinds of things. And also if a use case, if you notice at some point that the use case is not really generating the expected benefits, you should really revisit this and maybe skip parts of that. And maybe also, which I tried to say before a bit, that the user should really be at the core of everything that you do. So be in the center of discussion, really try to understand their research workflows, and their pain points, and sort of avoid writing the charter solely from an infrastructure perspective. Maybe thirdly, to make interoperability explicit from the get-go. So describe really what systems or services and organizations need to connect, and identify the needed standards and capabilities and governance arrangements to make the connections really work. Yeah, those are maybe the most crucial ones. There are others, lessons learned along the way as well, but to keep it a bit shorter, maybe those are the main points.
Thank you, Josephine. Lucas?
Thank you. So yeah, but mine are quite similar again to Josephine. So of course, user-centered value through practical services and support. I would say this is one of the most important things. Of course, it's good to pursue alignment with EOS requirements, of course, but also national research priorities. So I think this was good for us, trying to less kill two birds with one stone. So not build an EOS node, but in a way that will also be as much beneficial as possible for our national research priorities. So I think this is a good idea, and it lets you easier find the path. Co-design it with researchers, data stewards, and providers. So of course, I'm not saying you should you should have meetings with 50 people designing this, because it won't happen, but you have to find the balance, and don't fall into silos of, I don't know, only technical people, because they won't come up with anything viable, right? You need to mix people of different viewpoints. And so try to take the point of view of those who will be using it, of those who work with data, of those who provide the services, own them, but need policies and governance and so on. Of course, operational communication within your node. Try to make it lightweight, but it has to happen. Some bigger challenges that we had was how to coordinate all those organizations without creating heavy bureaucracy. So it's always the question of finding the balance, right? Translating EOSC from an abstract concept into practical implementation. This is not easy. EOSC is giving high-level guidelines, but well, there is a lot, and there is a lot to also to kind of understand and map to something practical. So this was a challenge. Engaging with diverse research communities with different needs. The more you have them, the better. But again, it's harder to then cater for them all and try to find something universal enough and also specific enough for specific domains. So again, we are looking for balance here. Onboarding of sensitive data across legal and technical constraints, but mostly legal is always a big pain. Some lessons learned, yeah, so summary, really, governance must be lightweight and practical. Don't go overboard. Start with user needs and really research workflows, and actually make sure that they come from bottom up to you, and they are not something you have, let's say, invented to explain what you are doing. And then use pilots and demonstrators to make the value visible. So at some point, to say it brutally, you have to leave the PowerPoint slides and actually do something that is working and shows even the most basic value, even the minimal viable products, but something that works and something that at least promises bringing value.
Thank you. I'm very happy that we are transcribing this session because what you said was extremely interesting, and we may consider also providing this information in a nice way also through the Academy website. Thank you very much for this.
Thank you. I'm glad to hear that.
Thank you.
I see that we are almost running out of time. I don't know if there are any other questions to the two notes representatives. As Ellie also added in the chat, you can always, and Isabel, you can always reach out to us through the online contact form and the dedicated email we have. So for closing this session, these are the upcoming online sessions we will organize until the end of June. So 15 and 22nd are the next two sessions in relation to course 2, which is applying the EOSC Federation Handbook. Then we have on the 24th of June the use cases for the EOSC Federation, and on the June 30th, we have the EOSC AAI session. So you are all invited to check the Academy website and also register for them. And the last thing, we very much need your evaluation and your views on the content that we deliver and provide through the website, but also through these online sessions. Please scan this QR code or use the link below to tell us what you think about what the Academy is currently offering, and what can we do in order, to make this more closer to what your needs are and how we can better support this federation process. So I will leave it here so that you can scan it. Yeah, thank you very much for joining and for staying until the end. And we hope to see you in one of our next sessions.